Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump are in a tight contest in several crucial states with just under 2 weeks remaining.
A new series of Israeli airstrikes hit multiple locations in Lebanon, some dangerously close to Beirut's only international airport.
Israel had previously indicated it would target the Al-Qad Al-Hassan Association.
Florida health officials are seeing a rise in Vibrio vulnificus cases, a bacteria that can cause severe flesh-eating infections following recent hurricanes.
On Friday, the Florida Department of Health released updated data showing several counties with increasing cases.
The 5 men known as the Central Park Five, who were wrongfully convicted of assaulting a jogger in 1989, filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump for defamation following his remarks during the September debate with Vice President Harris.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be statement of fact.
2 clicks.
Independent fact-checking and correction are encouraged.
Fix that voice. Fix that voice. A little lower. A little lower on the coffee end. Oh, yeah. And what day is this? Where do I go? Point me in the right direction. Left, right? Where am I going? I'm lost.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Lost again.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
What kind? That's nice music. Nice music.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee
the words to that
and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog.
The shirt
you make me laugh.
Over there, like that. Give me the monitor. The monitors and the shirt. Man, I gotta get rid of the monitor and get rid of the shirt. Start over. Get rid of the band. Get rid of me. Start over. All right, come on. Down and up and down. Up and pop. And then you sustain one big note, and I say, "Good morning, folks." It's Wednesday, right? Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. I have to think about that for a moment. Feels like I was just in this seat, I don't know, a couple of hours ago. If you missed it, we had a very good conversation with Sean Smith from Down Under, standing upside down yesterday, but today. It was today for her, but it was yesterday for us. It was Wednesday morning. She was here yesterday, but it was today, if you know what I'm saying. Well, she wasn't here. She was there, but by the miracle of telecommunications, she was here yesterday, today. If that makes sense. And I'm sure it doesn't make sense. So why am I saying it? By the miracle of miracles, the miracle of, what am I calling it? Fatima? No, it wasn't Fatima. It was Fat Guy. Miracle of Fat Guy. Mind Dog TV is back online and secure and won't be going down again in the foreseeable future. And if it does, I have a team of, let's call them people, who will be working vigorously to get it right back up. And so all those troubles seem to be in the past. I want to take just one moment before we bring the fellas in. By the way, today we have Zach McKenzie, who's no relation to Doug and Bob McKenzie from the Great White North. He is from Arkansas and a co-writer with Pamela Hopkins, who was on the program just Monday, which seems like about a week ago already, but it was just 2 days ago. So that's what we have for you today. And then Kirk Beck in the second hour, who is a mathematics and civics teacher, now an author. And I don't have his book. I got to get his book. So that's what we got for you today. Now, where was it? Oh, yeah, what I wanted to say about a company called 1&1 Ionis. Pitifully bad, ugly, terrible people. They're just awful people. And what they are is a web hosting company that MindDog TV and a lot of the websites that I own and manage were on up until about, I'd say, roughly like February of this year. And what happened was, I had been on them for like 10 years. What happened was they start by saying web hosting, 99 cents a month, includes your domain for your first year. And then it's 99 cents a month for unlimited storage and bandwidth and all that stuff. And so I signed up for that. And before you know it, I start getting charges. And they started using my checking account like it was their personal ATM. Every time I think Kevin Flores, who is a terrible, rotten, disgusting person who owns that company, every time he needed like a 6-pack of beer, he would go to Matt's billing and just bill him for $6.95. I just need to go pick up Schlitz. I'm sorry, Schlitz, your cheap beer. But it was happening like over and over again. And it was like, stop billing me for stuff just billing without any explanation about what the new bills were about. And before you know it, that 99 cents a month was up to about $99 a month per website. And about 2 years ago, I started saying, stop, this is enough. You guys are just like, you're just taking advantage here. Anytime you need to get weed money, you're taking it out of Matt's account. I said, cancel my account. I'm going to move it anywhere. And they refused to do that. They were just refusing to cancel my account. Finally, I just pulled all my stuff off there. And this is when we went to Vietnam. And that's where we had no exit strategy when I first went into Vietnam. And the website started going down every day or every couple of days. And it was really frustrating. So finally, this week, I pulled the plug on Vietnam. And now with Green Geeks. But very reliable company. Test it out, and everything is all fine and working well. And hopefully all those website troubles are in the past. But what I really wanted to say is, if you are looking for a website and you get enticed by 1&1 Ionis with their 99 cent a month, don't go for it. It's a terrible company. Give them the finger. Now, because here's what happened. Several days ago, I got a phone call from a bill collector trying to collect the money that they claimed that I owed 1&1 Ionis when I pulled my stuff off. And I said, bullshit. I don't owe them any money. I told them to cancel my account 2 years ago. They refused to cancel it and kept billing me. Well, we have an invoice here. I said, I don't care. I could write an invoice. The fact is, I have a stack of emails that I sent them, telling them to cancel my account, stop billing me, and they refused to do that. So 1&1 Ionis is really bad company. If you see an ad for them, just run the other way. It's a bad. And if you Google inexpensive web hosting, you're going to get 1&1 Ionis all over Google. They are very good with the SEO, with the suggested ads and all that kind of stuff. So Google will show them a lot. Don't fall for it. Don't go to GoDaddy. Don't go to 1&1 Ionis. And don't go to Vietnam, because there's no exit strategy in Vietnam. And that's all I have to say. Now, today we're going to hear from Zach McKenzie. I don't know. Bob and Doug, I don't remember what it was off. Was it shove off, buzz off to the Great White North? I don't remember exactly what it was because I'm senile. But I do remember it was the Great White North. But he's not related to them. He's related to Arkansas. second time this week, we're going to have somebody from Arkansas on. And then in hour 2, we have Kirk Beck, who was an educator for over 40 years. And now he's teaching things that matter, like civics. Not Honda Civics, which, by the way, I've already gotten enough trouble dissing companies here. Litigation's flying in by the moment. I'm screwed. So I want to tell you about a good company now, and then we'll say hello to the fellas from the dog pound, who, by the way, have not left their chairs. They've been sitting in those chairs since the program ended. I don't know what 9:30, 10 o'clock last night, something like that. They have not moved. I think they might not even be awake yet. The alarm clock has not gone off in their neck of the woods. But Clip Anything by Opus Clips. Opus Clips Pro is our sponsor. You know what? Daily High Club will come back. I know a lot of people like, I need to get high daily. I know you do. And we'll probably play them at some point in between because they are hungry for attention from you. But right now we're talking about Opus Clips, because Opus Clips is, it saves me so much time. By the time I hit the sack last night, and now we're talking about 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I had already done 15, 20 clips from the program we did just last night, starting at 7 p.m. my time, and it finished up around, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. So it will save you a lot of time. If I were doing it the old-fashioned way, I probably wouldn't have one clip done by now. And to get 17 or whatever I got clips out of it would probably take about a week. And it just did it automatically. I just said, hey, here, Opus Clips, chop this thing up for me. And they did. That's why they did. And if I wanted to take a shower on a plane while they were chopping up clips, I think that's possible. Although I don't really want to take a shower on a plane. Does that make sense to you? You need help. So do I.
Dreams do come true. I am showering on Netflix.
I actually was meditating on Netflix while you were showering. I was watching you in the shower. What's going on here? Oh, we were very black. Oh, Stephen has died. Stephen has passed away. We'll probably have a service for him sometime this week. Oh, he's back to life. Look at that.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't leave my chair at all. Ever.
That's that smell.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me right now are Stephen the Sleep Calm Ortiz. Ron, going to tell us about Tom Cruise fucking fish, Kane, and my former best friend for 37 years. I can't even remember his initials. ABC. ABC. Good morning.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. It seems that civics lessons are no longer taught in school. No wonder we're so dumb. Here's your MindDogTV.com civics lesson for today. The first Civic was introduced in 1972 as a 1973 model by Honda. It was available as a 3-door hatchback, a 5-door hatchback, and a coupe which could comfortably seat 16 chickens. Go to MindDogTV.com for more civics lessons. MindDogTV.com. Support your local merchandise and enjoy the suffering.
I thought it started as a bike, like a motorbike in Japan, the Civic. I'm wrong? Doesn't say anything about a bike in there? All right. Fine. I didn't take... There was no civics class when I went to school. There was no... It's called social studies. Do you guys know? Maybe I don't want to ruin showbiz in case there is showbiz, but I'm not sure we're going to have time for showbiz. But do you know what the thing about Tom Cruise fucking fish is?
No, there was a South Park.
Tom Cruise is trending on Twitter because he likes to fuck a certain kind of fish.
Tougher?
I don't know. That doesn't really matter. He's fucking fish. That's the important part.
It does matter because some fish have teeth.
Hey, okay, but still, it doesn't matter what fish he's fucking. He's fucking fish. That's just weird.
It could be a lobster for all I care.
But that's not a fish.
No, because that's not a fish. Yeah, that'd be different.
Fish is a fish.
It's really been a good year for fucking.
Fish.
I mean, from JD Vance fucking couches to now Tom Cruise fucking fish.
Yeah,
and Trump is trying to fuck 340 million people at once.
It would have to be. It would have to be a pretty big fish, I would think. Because listen, I mean, tight is tight, but it couldn't be a guppy.
Does not have to be a big fish. It just has to have a big mouth.
That's true.
No, that's not considered. That's fellatio.
That's still fucking a fish. It's still putting your penis in a fish.
I'm sorry. I think the corpse has the floor. Matt is right. They're according to Bill Clinton, they're not the same thing. And
guys, it's 9:16 a.m. and we're talking about the semantics of fish fucking.
No, you're talking about the semantics of fish fucking. We're talking about the mechanics. Okay.
It sounds to me like Stephen might be a fish fucker and trying to, I don't know, justify.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. No, I stay away from anything that's fishy.
So,
period.
So Tom Cruise is trending because of that.
That's what they keep saying, and I saw at least 15 tweets that just allude to the fact that
Which Tom Cruise? Because there's the actor, then there's the guy, the CEO from the Hover-Round, Tom Cruise.
Have you ever met G.D. Fenderson?
That Tom Cruise. Okay.
I wonder if the prophet L. Ron Hubbard told him to do it.
No, he needed. Wait. Oh yeah, L. Ron is Scientology, right? I forgot about that. I don't know why I was thinking he had a different.
It's a classic nursery rhyme. Oh, L. Ron Hubbard went to the cupboard looking for a colt to bone. You see, it's right there in the nursery rhyme. How could you forget it?
But he was alone. Then he went home, and then he fucked carp.
A fish.
It's how it ends. It's a classic nursery rhyme. It's what my grandma used to tell me all the time.
I don't know how you could have forgotten it.
You know, did you guys behold the miracle? Did you behold the miracle last night?
What, the Mets won?
No, the Mets are done.
That'd be a miracle.
Maybe they played golf and won. I don't know.
That would be
my
a
wife
miracle,
put out for a third time this week. That was a miracle. I beheld that.
With you or someone else?
Good question. I'll let you know. I'm just kidding.
The miracle was that there were two people all the way. I mean, all the way. We are here on the earth, and they're here upside down, and they were able to communicate in real time. No lag, no jittery internet stuff. That's a miracle.
No, that's science. It's science. It's not a miracle.
That's categorically science.
No, it's a miracle.
No, a miracle would be if by chance they could have given me today's Powerball numbers yesterday when it was yesterday and today there. They could have given me today's Powerball numbers and I could have won. That would have been a miracle because I have not won anything more than like $50 in Powerball.
If you would have told them in advance to subscribe to the Westminster, Maryland Gazette or whatever the hell your little.
The miracle was Sean Smith's following me on Twitter, and the first picture that popped up on her Twitter is her topless, and my wife going, "Hey, who's that?" And me having to explain that, and me not getting punched in the face.
Was that before or after you finished doing what you were doing?
How did you explain it? Because I have to explain it to my wife also. What did you say?
Well, okay, so what had happened was
okay. So far, we got the same opening.
Yeah, so we got off the show. The wife and I went to bed, and we were both just sitting on our phones, just kind of unwinding and whatever. And I was like, "Oh, Sean Smith followed me," so I clicked on it, right? And I was like, "Well, let's make sure this is the real account." And I did one scroll, and it landed on like the one topless pic that she has on there.
Not just one. No, you're wrong about that.
No, I haven't done. I didn't dig through her Twitter. It's
Yeah,
just the one that's
right.
at the top. The one at the top.
Right. So
And
you said the one topless photo she
the one
has.
that I saw, like I said, the one I
Right.
saw.
Okay, that's
So I was
more
like,
correct. Right.
so my wife was like, "Well, who's that?" And I was like, "Oh, that was the lady from the show." She goes, "Why is she sending you nudes?" And I'm like, "No, she's on Twitter." She's like, "Why are you on her OnlyFans?" I'm like, "No, listen, look." And then I showed her it was Twitter, and then she goes, "Oh," and I was like, "Listen, here's her job, here's her profession. She's also a comedian. This is." Oh, she goes, "That makes sense. Okay, cool. That makes sense." And then she watched the interview afterwards and was like, "Oh, okay, okay, you're good."
We have to get to Zach
I see the
McKenzie.
difference. I see the difference now because see, you and your wife were sitting on your phones. My wife and I were actually looking at our phones, and so that's how I got in trouble.
I just want to say quick, a true miracle is when you can have the belt around your neck and hit the right spot in the door where you can cup your balls and finger your asshole at the same time.
See, I thought you were going with more like a Robin Williams or a David Carradine type of belt around the neck type of thing, not around the balls.
Or Bob Crane. Actually, I don't know what Bob Crane died.
Too early.
Ron doesn't speak a lot, but when he speaks, he gets a B. I forgot to ask her after all that time. I never asked her if she did stand up naked. This is where, because I'm not sure if I dreamt this. I can't find any references to it on her Twitter or Facebook, any of that stuff. I'm pretty sure it could be just the dementia, but I'm pretty sure like 2 years ago she did stand up naked.
If she didn't, I would be shocked, only due to the fact there are so many of those around.
So many what? Naked stand-ups?
Naked stand-up shows, yeah.
Really?
No woman named Sean.
No, legitimately. There was 2 in Indianapolis. One, the early show was a boudoir show. The late night was nude, and then I also saw about 2 or 3 in Vegas that were also full nude shows where the audience could also be nude.
Stand-up comedy.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of the stickiest seats in the business.
See,
It's fucking gross sounding, I know, but
there are things that don't go together, like peanut butter and onions don't go together. Stand up and naked don't really go together in my mind. I don't see how they.
Well, I mean, for GD, he could go up there, whip out his tiny dick, and everyone would laugh, and that would be the best laugh he'd ever gotten. But I mean, for everyone else, no, it makes no sense.
You know he's black.
I do not like to touch microphones when people are fully clothed, behind other comedians. So I definitely don't want to do a show where I'm touching a microphone behind people who are not.
You're not miking up their dick.
You don't know where their hands have been before they touched.
All right,
that's
mic. Fine. That's the good point.
I mean, if you're wearing pants and you adjust yourself through the pants, it looks bad, but at least you can say they're touching their jeans, not themselves.
All right. Well, Zach McKenzie has been patiently waiting, and now he probably wants to run away after hearing about you and your little phobia of microphone phobia or whatever it is. Germophobic microphonic.
Crotch cooties.
Yeah. Scott McKenzie is a singer-songwriter from Arkansas who's basically in the country, gospel, soul genre. I believe, and I hope I'm right about this, that he is also a co-writer with Pamela Hopkins, who's on the program just Monday. He's here now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Zach McKenzie. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning. How are y'all?
You like that accent, Steven? This has been accent week. Steven gets so yeah, do I have it correct? Or do you are you a co-writer with Pamela Hopkins, or did I just imagine that as I imagined a woman doing stand-up naked?
No, you are correct. Her and I wrote one song together. Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your experience in Arkansas being a you know what? I know 2 people who were singer-songwriters from Arkansas before Pamela, of course. Levon Helm and Billy Bob. And that's my history of Arkansas.
We got Johnny Cash too.
Oh, he's from Arkansas? See that? I should have known that.
Wow, Matt, even I knew that. Jeez.
Well, you're from Alabama. Come on, you should know that.
Whoa. Okay, that's fair.
All right.
Excuse me, Zach. I have a question. It's been bugging me. It's been bugging me since yesterday. What is that? The rest of that word there on that under? Is that a ukulele? And there's a banner there. What is that instrument? And what is the word on that banner?
That is a Halloween decoration, and one says trick, the other says treat.
Okay, I was wondering if that said treat, but because to me that's treat, but that would be out of context.
It doesn't
but
make
now
sense
I
when you
get
don't
it.
see the whole thing. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's what I say to my wife when I'm standing there naked. It doesn't make sense unless you see the whole thing.
Right. So tell me a little bit about you and how long you've been a songwriter and in the music game down there.
Well, I've been in it full time for about 7 years. I went to Nashville for about 2.5 years of those 7 years, but had to come back because of the pandemic. But it worked out because I ended up meeting my wife, and now I'm married and everything. So it turned out pretty cool. But I play mostly just restaurants right now, but I've been singing my whole life, and I've been doing a lot of co-writing. As you mentioned earlier, I wrote a song with Pam, written several songs with some people in Nashville, and just kind of been doing it, man, full time. Every weekend I got a gig, and yeah, it's a pretty cool
Good
life.
for you. I believe that's the, you know what, sometimes it won't lead to the, whatever the mountaintop is in the business. But I think steady work is the formula, hustle, and there's no substitute for that. Too many people are just like waiting to get discovered and not going out there and playing for people. I think
And when I was 20, if you'd have asked me like when I was 25, yeah, that would have been the goal. Yeah, I want to headline the Super Bowl halftime show and win all the Grammys and collaborate with Lady Gaga. But now that I'm in my late 30s, I'm like, I'm pretty lucky to be able to just to make a living doing it,
Right.
So yeah, I'm pretty booked up every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday till the end of the year. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Let me put up your links to your link tree here while we're talking. With your
I have
attitude
a question real quick about did you one of the songs you work with Pam, was that the one that she had the lyrics for and she no longer felt the lyrics applied anymore, and so you rewrote the music for that one?
Well, what happened, I'm not sure that specific one, but it's similar. She had some lyrics that she wrote with two other guys.
Right.
And she wasn't sure about the melody. And she didn't
exactly.
really want
that's the song.
the melody. And I got booked and I already knew, my wife and I already knew Pam. But a couple months ago, I got booked at a wedding that Pam was a bridesmaid for. And we got to talking music and bouncing around some ideas. And I let her know that even though I write lyrics, I'm really more, my strength is a melody. Like, I'm a melody guy. I come up with melodies all the time. I'll even hear a melody while I'm driving down the road and just grab my phone real quick and just, I'm going to put some words to that later because it's super catchy. So she sent me some lyrics and I come up with a melody for a song called So Much for That. And he liked it. The other two liked it. And it's actually going to be going on my upcoming album that I'm recording right now.
Right. The EP. When is that? When is the EP coming out?
We're hoping first of the year, 2025. I've already got one single out called The Day That I Found You. That's from that record.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's always been a tricky thing for me. Is I can write melodies and I can write lyrics, but when somebody sends me lyrics, it's sometimes a challenge to try to put their lyrics, because sometimes you're trying to find meter in their writing and it's not exactly where you would go with it. It could be a real difficult thing. Do you find the collaborative experience more rewarding than working on your solo by yourself?
It's a little bit of both, because there's times I'll write something super personal and kind of hash it out and I don't really want another pair of ears on it in that creating process. But there's other times that I'm stumped and kind of need an extra brain or two to kind of finish it all out, whether it's melody or it needs a bridge or, right now I've got 2 or 3 choruses that I'm sitting on, but I don't have any verses for it. So I'm kind of going to some other collaborators going, hey, where would you take this when you hear that chorus? Because I got nothing.
Right.
So it's a little bit of both. It just kind of depends on what song.
Now, what's the weirdest inspiration you've had for a melody? I'll give you an example just real quick. I had my dishwasher running once at the same time as my percolator for the coffee drip was going. And those two sounds together, like, you know, and I went, I like that, and I had a melody based on the dishwasher and the percolator going together. So what's your weirdest sound that you've heard and said and inspired a melody?
Okay, well, I don't know if I have one, but I will tell you something that happened about a month ago. My dog was drinking water, and it was the perfect tempo. When you heard it, it was. And my wife looked at me like the biggest idiot because I started snapping with his water, and then
I can unfortunately I can relate to that.
It was the perfect
well.
tempo. It was like
Yeah.
he didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
You said it. Do it again. Don't stop. Don't stop.
I was like, don't stop. I had a good thing going. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get my guitar. Let me get my guitar.
Right.
Damn it! What you doing? Licking your balls. That's a different
I have
tempo.
been collaborating with chickens lately, so it all comes
in the mornings.
Yeah. So now with the restaurant thing, I kind of talked to Pamela about her take on this. For me, I do a lot of restaurant stuff too. I'm out there working a lot. I write a lot of original songs, but in order to get the gigs, they have to be like cover gigs where I slip in a few originals and all that stuff. I generally don't tell people unless they applaud that it was an original song. How does it go for you? And how much can you get away with doing your own material before it becomes like, hey, can you do I don't know, just pick out any old classic country song request or something?
Waylon Jennings, Chris Stapleton, those are the two I get the most. But
yeah,
I usually kind of feel the crowd out a little bit. Like if I feel like I kind of won them over with a song, that's when I'll do an original. But I usually let them know, like, would y'all like to hear an original? If I don't have the crowd and they're all trying to eat and they didn't come expecting live music, like what's going on at my favorite burger place? Why is this guy singing to me? It's weird. But if it's a moment where I sing a song and it went over well and I got a huge applause and feel like I kind of got the crowd in that moment, that's when I'll say, hey, by the way, I'm a songwriter and I'm working on a record. Y'all want to hear a couple tunes? And they just, yeah, do it. So I'm like, okay, I let them know. I don't sneak it in. But I try to make sure I have the crowd, because a lot of times when you have do you mind turning it down crowd?
Yeah.
That's when I won't do an original. I'm gonna stick to the hits tonight because they don't even want me to be very loud.
Yeah.
Do you find that in a band?
One at a time here.
Okay, I used to like to play in the band, and in the very beginning, the first 6 months, we did 66% covers and 1/3 originals in the very beginning. And so we used to do this. We'd say we'd do like 3 songs in a row. And we'd say like, okay, we're going to do the next 3 songs. 2 of them are by the Police, and 1 of them isn't. Guess which one? And then we just start playing the songs. You know, let's see.
Did you bring a calculator to the gig to get down that 66%?
No, that was our formula from the very beginning, because we always intended to write originals, but we didn't have enough originals to do a show in the very beginning.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And as we got more originals, we eventually got to all originals and no covers.
Yeah, that's the dream. That's where you want to be, doing your own music.
And then we broke up.
Oh,
like every other band. Steven has a question. Steven, the Sleepcom Ortiz.
I was waiting for all y'all. I don't want to hear it. Listen, so do you find that the country crowds that are a little more energetic are a little more conducive to original music than, say, maybe just the lighter country bar scene?
I would say so. And interesting about country music is, and I say this is probably the thing with country music, heavy metal, and hip hop. Like, what do those 3 genres have in common? Is people are typically fans of the genre. You know what I mean? Like, I was in a band that opened for Josh Turner a few years ago, and they didn't know who we were, but as long as we were playing country music, they were digging it. A year later, we opened for Hanson, Umbop. And we got out there and played our country songs, and they were like, they didn't hate it, but they were like, where's Taylor? Where's Zach? Where's Isaac? Who are these guys?
Yeah.
And it was a little easier with the country crowd, and we were able to do originals as long as it sounded, Josh Turner is very traditional. He has more of a throwback classic country sound. So as long as we were providing them that, whether it was covers or originals, they were digging it. So
Who booked you to open for Umbop or whatever that is?
Yeah.
Here in Arkansas, we have a theme park called Magic Springs, and it's in Hot Springs, and they bring in a lot of big acts throughout the summer. And the band I was in got the opportunity to open for Huckleberry Jam. Josh Turner and Hanson, and that was over the course of 2 summers.
Wow. This is got me a little bit curious about this because I remember Umbop. It was like 1990s, right? Or was it? Yeah, late 90s. And they had this one big hit. But now, like when you talk about them, you call them Umbop, and forever that is the one thing they'll be known for. And I wonder, how that feels, because as an artist, you don't want to be known for one, but you have. Most of us would say, yeah, that one big hit. We'd die for that one #1 hit that the radio is playing all over, or every 5 seconds on every station. It's just weird. Like, would that be satisfying to me to be 20 years later, people still call me Umbop?
Honestly,
I mean, that's the only song of theirs I knew growing up.
Me,
I mean, I was little.
Yeah.
I would love it because they are still bringing in a good crowd, #1, and #2, they've been independent and been able to do their own thing, and they're a really good band. Like, we opened for them. Like, this wasn't a boy band. This was they were really good at their instruments. They sounded really good. They had really good music. But when they did their encore, they came out and did Umbop because they kind of have to.
Right.
That's the song. But they're able to still do it and have a great career 20 years later because of that international #1 they had.
Right.
That was unprecedented too, because they said it was #1 in over 50 countries at the same time.
Wow.
I
mean, financially, it sets you up to be able to do whatever you want to do artistically.
They might not have been able to maintain that, but they were able to maintain a career.
Right.
So, Zach, have you ever, you and your band, ever had to get like a last minute substitution, a last minute booking where another band is booked, that band for some reason can't make it, their fans are there expecting that band, and your band shows up to their base. How did it go, and were you able to win them over, and how?
Well, not with the band, but as a solo acoustic, I've had to do that a couple of times.
Yeah, I call those screamer gigs.
Yeah, and which makes it a little worse because it's just me on stage. But it's like I've got no one to share this with in case it goes bad.
Yeah.
Most of the time it went good. There was one time it went bad, and this was in Nashville, and there was nothing I could do to win the crowd over. They didn't hate it, but it was just not like.
Yeah. It's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the artist who canceled or the artist who takes that play. It's a really awkward situation to be in.
Yeah.
It's even worse when it's weddings.
Act, because even though they didn't come to see you, they know that the band they're coming to see is coming on stage soon. So.
Right. Well, when it's weddings, you have the bride's mother screaming at you. That's where the screamer part of it came.
I'd lose my shit. I couldn't be nice in that situation. It'd be game over. I would never get booked again. Get out of my face, lady.
Imagine that Louis C.K. is headlining tonight. Oh, Louis didn't show up, but we have Steven the sitcom Ortiz.
Hey, you know what? If it's a wedding, they might be okay with that because I'm not going to be jerking off in front of anybody. So that's a win.
I don't know. We've seen you on this program, so
I have never done that on this program.
Okay. So Zach, have you ever? Let's put this up about you, Zach. Have you ever seen Steven masturbate on the radio? No, I'm just teasing.
No. Yeah, of course you have.
I would hope not.
Everybody has. Now, when you go to Nashville, when you went to Nashville, were you disillusioned by what the reality of the music business? Was that a good time for you in Nashville, or did you come away with, well, you know what, this is so plastic, it's so fake, it's not authentic, it's all about commerce, it really is. What was your experience there?
I mean, I had a pretty positive experience, to be honest with you, but I mean, I did walk away with a couple of things that were, that like you just mentioned, what it's about. But one thing I really loved was when I did have to put a band together, I could have one together in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there were musicians on every street corner.
That's the thing. Everybody is a virtual. Everybody's a better player than you are. Yeah. But what gets me is like, because I really appreciate this, the idea of somebody who sits down and writes a song that comes from their heart and their mind. And now what we have is 15 people who get together on like a assembly line to create songs. And to me, even though I might like the song, when I find out that this is not the work of somebody, this is the work of an assembly line, it takes away from all the meaning that I had put into a song like that.
Yeah.
It's a really, it feels fake to me. It feels like Nashville is Hollywood, just they moved it to Tennessee.
And to be honest, that's I don't want to mention the name, but there was a recent song. I say recent; it's probably been 10 years. That had a very, very simple chorus, and I found out that it had 10 or 15 people credited as the writer, and I'm like, it took 10 or 15 people to write that, but Bohemian Rhapsody was written by one person.
Wow.
And it was the most complex song ever written.
Yeah.
In a good way,
Right. Yeah.
It had a beginning, a middle, and end. It was super theatrical, and that came from one man's mind.
Right.
And this song, whose artist I'm not going to mention, had 2 words in its chorus, and took 15 people to put it together. I don't know what.
It's not really nice to talk about Luke Combs like that.
I'm not talking about Luke Combs.
No, I know.
I'm just joking. It's Umbop, isn't it? It's the Johansson brothers or Umbop. That's what it is, because that's 2 words.
You don't have to guess. He didn't want to say. You don't want to say.
But you got to guess.
I know. If he's not going to say, now we have to take shots in the dark.
No, yeah, right.
And then we look to see if he swallows at any of the answers. That's you look for that tell.
Do you have a home demo studio that you do pre-production on when you're writing, like multi-track, a kind of your vision of the song, or you just write the song and then work with the producer as if it's never been recorded before?
My cell phone. I just get my acoustic guitar and hit record on my cell phone.
Wow.
And hear it back and perfect it that way, and then send it off to my producer in Nashville.
Wow, that's inspiring. That's the way, not cell phones, but we used to do that with a cassette recorder or a reel-to-reel back in the Stone Age.
I use voice memo on my cell phone. Yeah, that's
very cool.
You know what? Hey, stand-up comedians, we do the same thing, man. A joke pops into your head, you hit record, and throw it up in there and hit it back later.
Yeah. Well, it's good because I'll write a song one night and think it's the next big hit.
I think a big part of the songwriting, whatever we think of what songwriting is supposed to be, gets confused with production because people think like it needs all these extra parts to demo it. Like I need to have a little drum track and bass line behind it and all that stuff. I think writing the way you do it and kind of being able to present it just as a song, bare bones like that, just you and a guitar, or what I'm assuming guitar. That's the best way to actually let a producer actually have more freedom and more creative palette or canvas to work with. So
it's good for me in many ways because it gives me a chance to hear it back, and like I'll record it thinking it's the next big thing, and then 3 days later I get it back out and listen to it. I'm like, this is the biggest piece of crap I've ever written. Why did I think this was? But it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I was doped up on coffee and thought it was good at the time.
Yeah. So what's the most surprising song that you've written? I mean, the one that let's say audiences responded better than you had expected. Something that you wrote more personal, but came off really popular.
Yeah, this is a huge country music story. Like this could only happen in the South, but this is going to be the long answer to your question, so I apologize in advance. But
That's okay. We got time.
I was playing a place in Conway, Arkansas called the BBVFW, which was a real smoky bar, nothing but cowboy hats, and they wanted to hear nothing but Merle Haggard. And they come up and they told us, hey, and this was when the bro country thing was kind of big at the time. The Florida Georgia lines. I'm not disrespecting. I'm just saying that this is what was topping the radio at the time. The girls, the trucks,
right,
the hip hop beat, and that was on country radio. And the guy come up and said, "Now listen here, boys. We don't want to hear no bro country. We want to hear Merle. Play Merle Haggard." And so we played a Merle Haggard song, and then we went through our basic set list. And he come back and said, "Now, boys, I told you, we want to hear Merle." And we're like, "Okay, we'll play Merle Haggard." And a fight ended up breaking out in the back, and it involved so many people. And the guy looked over at us and went, "Should have played more Merle." And I was like, and that just kind of kept going throughout the night. And I went to the bathroom, and somebody had like placed a beer glass right in the toilet. Look, it looked like it had been placed in there inside the toilet. And I looked over at the guy. We were washing our hands. I said, "Did you see this?" And he was like, "Yeah, we should have played more Merle." It was a joke. So I was like, okay. So I went home and wrote a song called "That's What Happens When You Don't Play Merle."
Wow.
And I added to it, and I thought it was just a stupid song. It was just a little joke for me, but every time I play it, it was like, "Who's that by? Who does that song?" I'm gonna try to. I said, I didn't think it'd ever be anything, but I'm gonna. That's going on my album too, coming out.
Oh, I can't.
That's awesome.
And I wrote that like
That's
10
awesome.
years ago.
I wish we had that to play today. I would play.
I'm a little nervous about it because I name dropped, but it was a joke at the time. I'm like, should I name drop these artists like Florida Georgia Line? But
You know what?
There's a disclaimer going. I don't have any disrespect towards these guys, but this is what the guy told me when I got there that night.
Right.
Hey, you know what? There's parody law and everything. As long as you're doing it as a joke, you're fine, man.
Yeah.
It's no different than Weird Al or Eminem calling people out. You know, it's just part of the game.
Fine is one thing, but if people who are still out there performing get pissed off, hey, you mentioned me in that song or whatever, and it sounded like you were taking shots at me.
That could only make Zach's song even more popular. Bring it. I'd say bring it. I got
Well, my
your
response
back,
would
Zach.
be, I'm not taking shots at you. The guy at the bar that night took shots at you.
Right.
Exactly. I just wrote a song about it.
Right.
I got your back.
I have
Zach.
a-
I got your back.
Now, Zach, I have a question. You said you were up all night, hopped up on coffee. Have you thought about maybe switching to cocaine or anything to see if that changes your writing process at all? Sorry, Gene.
Ask your doctor if cocaine is right for you.
Not recently, no.
Not
Okay.
recently.
No, that's fine. No, I was just curious because,
But I'm still kind of young.
I
So
mean,
no, I'm kidding.
well, I mean, sometimes you get that rider's block or whatever. You got to get the gears turning. So you add a little bit of powder nitrous and you go to town. And
Yeah.
I was just curious. That just might.
Oh yeah.
I'm
mentioned.
sorry. I can't let this go. Steven,
What?
how many jokes have you written on cocaine?
3.
Wow.
All right, we want to hear them. Not now, later.
Not
we
now.
want to hear them.
They're on
Not-
my Instagram. But back to you, Zach.
Schedule them for very far in the future. You mentioned Merle now because I am a big Merle fan. Thank you for bringing Merle to the program.
Oh, yeah.
Where I am, I will play Merle songs quite often. Tonight the bottle let me down. People up here don't have no clue. I could even do Okie from Muskogee and they'll be like, who wrote that song? They don't know. Swinging Doors. I mean, I'll do a lot of Merle stuff there. I'm assuming everybody knows. It's very weird that here, like, people think I wrote that song. Oh, that's a great song. Like, I'm taking credit for Okie from Muskogee. So yeah, any other artists that from the classic country that you find inspiring to what you do?
I think Hank Sr. is one of the greatest songwriters that ever lived. I like Loretta Lynn. My mom raised me on Loretta Lynn and
Wow.
Johnny Cash, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vocally. Now, you've been singing your whole life?
I have.
Have you had any training? Are you a trained vocalist or are you just a natural vocalist?
Church. I grew up in a Southern gospel church, and everyone in there knew how to sing.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the
in the woods in Arkansas, yeah, that was all we did.
So
now, when did you start playing guitar? And did you start playing guitar to meet chicks?
No, I started playing guitar because well, okay, I mentioned in Nashville you can put a band together in 10 minutes. In Arkansas, that's not really the case. And I got frustrated about it. I was about 23 years old, so I learned to play guitar. It was more of a fine, I'll do it myself. It's just kind of learned. At the time, I learned G, C, and D, and got a capo, and was able to play just about anything I could. But yeah, so and through the years, I got a little better at it. So no, I was 23 when I started playing guitar.
Wow. It's kind of late in life.
Oh, yeah.
For somebody who's a professional anyway. I mean, I started when I was 7. I'm still no good, but I started very young. But coming back to the vocal thing, do you do, because I find that people who sing naturally, who have been singing all their lives and have not gone through training, just go to the gig and start singing. Other people who have been trained are doing vocal exercises in the car and lip rolls and all that kind of stuff. Do you do any warm-ups before you go to perform, like vocal warm-ups or any of that kind of
stuff? You said that. So recently I kind of started experiencing some vocal fatigue. And so I've adopted the lip rolls and all the exercises, and they actually work. I never did them before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've started recently doing the vocal exercises just this past year.
Right. You because I am a lot of the vocal coaches, and I know you don't go this way, but this route you've learned to sing in church. But a lot of vocal coaches, they're obsessed with taking away from the baritone and saying, okay, you're a natural baritone, but we can get you to sing high tenor notes. It's like, I don't want I don't want to be Robert Plant. That's from my childhood. I mean, but are you comfortable with, because it sounds to me like you're a baritone just listening to you talk here. Are you comfortable with really just exploring the range that God gave you and really being comfortable in that, using that to its best effect, or trying to expand your range and become like a tenor belter?
I'm comfortable with where I'm at, but and I always tell people this: a lot of people think I'm a tenor when I sing, but I can't live up there.
Right.
I can work my way up to a high note, but I got to come back down once I get there. So I can't live up there like Gary LaVox from Rascal Flatts, who just sings super, super high. But they say if you do your scales every day, you can improve your range and whatnot. And I'm pretty okay.
Improving your range is one thing, but I think I think especially rock singers, who they just want to sing all these belting high notes, and it's like that's not singing to me. And I think, listen, I don't want to sound like I'm bad mouthing anybody. I think the Whitney Houston's, Mariah Carey's of the '80s, with their belting and their continually showing off their technique and their range and vibrato and all this kind of stuff, I think they made it more of a gymnastics. Singing should feel more natural than having to go out there and act like you're waiting for a 10 from the judges. All that kind of vocal gymnastics.
I think it depends on the song, really. I wouldn't want to sit there through a 2-hour concert and just hear nothing but that. But if they were to bust something out in the middle of the show that showed that off, that's great, awesome, and then they move on to the next thing. But if it's just constant over singing all the time, I can only speak for me, my voice would be gone if that was all I did. But
Well, I think of like Minnie Riperton had this song called "Loving You."
Oh boy.
And that's, I mean, I don't think she did hit those notes like all the time, but on that song, I don't think that, well, first of all, it puts her stamp on it. Mm-hmm. If you cover that song and you don't hit that note, you're fucked. So I think, sometimes I think it's just like putting your stamp on the song. That's like saying like, do this, or, because there are other people, if you have a really good song, sometimes people are going to cover it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the cover is better than the original. Not often, once in a while. I don't think that's one of the songs you're going to ever top.
Yeah.
Well, it's before noon, so I won't try to do that note. But I have sung that note.
I want proof.
I want to see
want
the
proof.
underwear you were
I wanna
wearing
hear
when you
it.
did it.
The problem is I generally need surgery immediately afterwards.
Well, and I
There's
turned
got to
down
be
some
video
requests.
somewhere. You can't even poop without recording it. So let's see it. Let's go.
You mentioned covering there's songs that, like a lot of people you kind of look down on if you say no to a song request.
Right.
But if somebody come up to me and ask for Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You," I would say no, because I'd rather tell you no and you be mad at me than me do it in the microphone and this whole restaurant thinks I suck.
Yeah, I've been there.
Everybody's mad at you.
I have taken it there and ruined somebody's song.
Yeah, and I'm not like you just said. If you're gonna do "I'll Always Love You" by Whitney Houston and you don't hit that note, you didn't sing that song.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what if you do it? If they say to you, play "I Will Always Love You," and you say, okay, and then you do the Dolly Parton version.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm a little upset that a guy from Arkansas would call that Whitney Houston's song.
See, but that's how good the cover was. The cover is so good that people forgot that Dolly Parton wrote that.
I'll be honest. I didn't know
that
Dolly
and
Parton
Time.
did a cover. So
Dolly Parton wrote it and was the original.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whitney Houston
know
actually
that.
covered. Yeah, Whitney Houston covered Dolly Parton.
Right.
Oh, so yeah, I'd know. Everyone would have known
There was
that.
a lot of time in between too. Time is a big kind of confuser there too. So Dolly came out with I think 20 years before Whitney did. So that.
Well, there's a story that apparently Colonel Tom Parker wanted Elvis to do that song.
Wow.
And that's how long ago Dolly wrote it. And the way that they did it, this is of course what I heard, is that when Elvis did a song, they bought the rights to the song.
Right.
In his later career.
Right.
Which is when this was. And she didn't want to sell the rights to the song. So had that went down and she got, at the time, the biggest star in the world to sing that song, there never would have been Whitney's version of that song.
Right.
Or maybe it would have been. You know, it's possible that she could have done it because if the lyrics of what moved her to do it, the lyrics probably would have been the same, and she probably could.
I can hear it in my head now. I'm hearing Elvis do it now, and it sounds like a perfect fit, to be honest with you, because there is a little bit of a gospel soul, flavor to that song, and that was his forte.
I feel like Whitney was singing to the Coke though, which again, Coke.
I don't know. You're maybe you should get some sleep.
I actually have not been to bed yet, so it's
not surprising.
I'm seeing sounds. So back to you, Matt.
Yeah. So now, when you're doing the restaurant thing, I'm assuming you're doing solo acoustic work, right?
Yes.
Do you perform with a band at all? Or have you?
I haven't in a while, but when we're working on the record right now, so my plan is to kind of hit that back again in 2025, the summer.
Where are you with country production now? Because I am a fan of classic real country, pedal steel, fiddle, mandolin, traditional country sound. Yeah. More and more, I feel like country is trying to keep up with trends and becoming electronic dance music with a twang on top of it, or 80s hair metal with a twang on top of it.
Yeah.
Where are you with that? The idea of how
it's absolutely no disrespect to anyone that's using electronics. It's not really my cup of tea. I like to use a lot of the songs on this record are going to have fiddle and steel, banjo.
Whoa.
And mandolin. And however, the single I came out with, like the farthest I'll go outside of country, because I say I grew up on gospel, but I also really, really loved Motown music and like the Temptations and Stevie Wonder. It was just feel good music to me. Yeah. And so I like to implement a little bit of that with like the 3-piece horns, the real heavy background singers into what I'm already doing. So if I push the envelope outside of country, it would be that.
Yeah.
Now, do they have to be heavy background singers, or will you work with a thin person? I'm just curious.
the Motown stuff and country do have a sort of the gospel stuff and Motown have a common root, because Motown was kind of inspired by Sam Cooke, was a big part of the inspiration for Motown even coming into existence. Sam Cooke was a gospel singer who made his living singing secular pop, rock and roll, whatever. So, I mean, a lot of that Motown influence comes from gospel stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and I was a big fan of the Temptations, and like, it was, when I say heavy background singers, and they were thin, but they, the backgrounds really kind of drove the song, and that was an element of it that I really, really enjoy. And if you listen to my single now, The Day That I Found You, it's very, very influenced by the background vocals, the horns. I didn't use fiddle and steel in that song at all. But
are you on MTS Records?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Michael does a very good job of getting people major exposure.
Yes.
In places that are not necessarily where you think country music would be, American country, because it's country music, but not this country. New Zealand, South Africa. I mean, places that.
I found out the Day That I Found You was number 7 on the UK.
Right.
So I was like, really? It's like,
do those people, do they communicate with you at all? The fans who find your music in faraway places, do they correspond with you at all? Or
I'll see something in the comment section from time to time, greetings from New Zealand, or, we love you from England. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Not very often, but sometimes.
Well, because this is where I was going with this. Is there enough? Because obviously, Michael, and again, I'm really impressed with what he does for his artists, and he works really hard to get them exposed and get them making money and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of it is in faraway places. And does it make you want to kind of go there and perform for? Because obviously, if 7 million people, and I'm just throwing that number out there, I don't know where that came from, 7 million people download your song in a country, there's an audience there that wants to see you perform it. Have you thought about going to these places and performing?
Man, it's a bucket list item for me. I'd like to tour like through Europe. I used to live in Germany when I was a small child, but I always heard too, of course I've never seen it, but I've heard that in like the UK and Italy, they still go out to shows when someone's in town, whether they know who they are or not.
Yeah.
And, since you can stream a show live now, people don't go out, and really, if they're really only going to go out if it's somebody they know, or if it's an artist that they're a fan of. But I've been told that in Europe they go out to shows.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of wanted to test that a little bit, to go out there and book some venues and see if that's a true statement or not.
They do in the Far East, they do in Europe, and I know they do in the Southern Hemisphere too. Yeah. It's a whole other world. Last night we had a guest on from Australia, and it lit my fire to go put that back on my bucket list, to go perform in Australia. I feel like Australia is like a throwback to what the United States might have been like at some point in the past, where I have a nostalgic view of the kind of life there. But there is a big audience for American. Just knowing you're from America, they want to come in some of these places. So now the album, is it an album and EP that's coming out in the fall here, or before?
It's probably going to be an album. It's going to be 8 songs.
8 songs.
Yeah.
Because the amount of content that used to be going on an album, often it was like 10 songs. There were people who would push it to like 17, 18 songs at times. Does that matter anymore? Or because I think what streaming has done to the industry is it's really, and it was always single based, about putting out hit singles and all that stuff. Yeah. But now it's really one song at a time. Does the album have a thread that ties the 8 songs together.
In a way, yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of songs. It's a lot of love songs that kind of connect it's a kind of the connective tissue. But when you mention the singles, yeah, a lot of people say the album is kind of dying, but I remember being super excited and waiting outside when one of my favorite artists or bands dropped a new record, and I wanted to go to the store and buy the new record and couldn't wait to hear it. I feel like you kind of go on a journey with the artist through the album. So I'm still a fan of albums.
I am too, but
Personally.
that's why I brought up the thread, because I feel like if it's going to be an album, and whether it's there or not, I would always draw, like Bruce Springsteen's "Born to Run." To me, people might say, "Well, there's no real underlying thread." I think there is. It's all about cars and the freedom of the highway and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And so, whether that was intended or not, I put it on there. And I think what we see now is people write singles and then put a collection together, and that doesn't feel like an album to me. An album should have like some kind of connection to it, that it makes sense.
Right. Fleetwood Mac "Rumors" I think is the greatest record of all time. My personal opinion, it's the greatest record of all time. But they were all cheating on each other and fighting, and what they did was they locked themselves in a room and wrote a bunch of songs, and that's how "Rumors" came to be.
Sounds like a country song about an album that came out in the 70s.
Well, like I'm trying to think of The Who and Pinball Wizard. That was like one long what did they call a rock opera? I think it was
opera,
rock opera.
Tommy. Yeah,
Tommy. That's it. Yeah, Tommy.
They're Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All of those. So we look forward to it coming out. If there's anything we can do to help boost it, let us know. We will put the link.
Thank you.
Your link tree in the description. It's going across the bottom there. Do you do a lot of videos? Are you doing YouTube like music videos, or is that just a thing of the past now too? That
no, I still do it. I have a music video for the single that's out now, and
now
I do TikTok content as well for anyone that wants to.
TikTok is different than YouTube, though, and this is where I was going with the music video stuff. We have to get moving along here, but I'm curious about this. Do you do performance videos, or do you do like the old-fashioned mini movies that MTV used to do about the song, where there's acting and there's acting out dramatization of the song?
The video I have out now is kind of like a mini movie, and to be honest, I'm barely in it. I just cameo in it. I casted a younger, much better looking guy to play me. And
oh gosh, thank you.
I didn't see myself in that.
We're kind of reenacting how my wife and I met. Her and I met. She came to one of my shows, and it was, I always joke around, it was a smoky bar, and I was getting paid $75 to sing for 4 hours.
Wow.
So what is
these guys have just got jealous. Wait, let me just say, you just made these guys jealous. $75? They've never been paid $75 for a performance ever. I'm sorry. Now, GD.
Zach, you and your wife, what is your song? I mean, you're a musician and everything, but when you danced your first dance, what was your song? And did you know it was your song before she told you?
Okay, so her first language is Spanish. So the song that we danced to at our wedding was called "Todo Cambió," which is "Everything Changed."
Wow.
And it's, that's kind of our. It means everything changed when I met you, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a pretty song, and I say that's our go-to song. But the song I have out now, I actually wrote for her, called "The Day That I Found You." The music video was about how we met. So yeah,
very cool.
Now, kind of two songs.
So that song, did you know about that song before you met her? And how did she let you know that was your song? You know, like, yeah, I'm just saying, because
I know. It makes me laugh that you assume, and you assume, I think correctly, that the woman is in charge of picking their song.
I picked ours.
She played it a lot. Like it was one of her favorite songs, and I thought it was a pretty catchy song. I didn't know what they were saying because the song's in Spanish, but I thought it was a catchy song. They sounded good, catchy melody. I'm a musician, so those are the things I look at. But yeah, it just kind of made sense when we had our wedding that would be the song we danced to. Because I always have the melody in my head, even though I only know the first part of the song.
So did you ever learn all the words in English or to sing it in Spanish?
I have not.
Do you think it'll be like a really nice?
He's gonna watch this and look at me and go, "Yeah, when are you gonna do that?"
I would say like maybe for your anniversary, you play it and sing it to her in Spanish. I think that would like bring a tear to her eye, and I want some commission. Thank you.
If you would like me to kill him, I'd be happy to oblige. Why would you do that to a guy? Put him in the red zone like that?
Look, the only thing I know, this is my wife's favorite band is a band called
Crack the Sky.
It's not. No. It's damn it.
Mbop.
No. I can't. Not Darius Drucker. Not Hootie and Bluff. It's how can I forget? I sang. They have a song called Long December, and that's like her favorite.
Counting Crows.
Counting Crows. That's her favorite band. And so for one anniversary, one of our anniversaries, I covered and made a video of me doing Long December, and she loves. It's like it's one of those things where she's like, and it was like after the crying, it was like really beautiful sex, and then more stuff after that. And it's a gift, and it's a gift I could be able to use for like 6 years now, and it's just like a recurring gift that keeps on giving. I'm just saying,
it's like a recurring story that keeps on being told.
Our song was "Beautiful Drug" by Zach Brown Band, and my wife doesn't know is I actually picked that because I sing it to cocaine, so it was a good cover. And, I think
Steven has got a little drug problem going on.
Just learned today.
I can't afford cocaine. That's a rich white man's drug.
Yeah,
I use Sudafed.
No, I know. Yeah, we have to move along, Zach. I apologize for having to cut the. Well, we will definitely work on promoting this. Drop me an email before it comes out, so we can create some buzz around it and definitely pump it up for you. In the meantime, hopefully people will go to linktree.com, Zach McKenzie, linktree.ee, / Zach McKenzie Music. Zach, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and you're welcome back anytime, especially when it's out. If you want to come back and give it a little boost to people, and then I will actually be able to play it for people, some samples for people to get them riled up to buy it. So we have a great day.
And learn to play your wife's song, and sing it to her. Let's see how it goes.
I'll kill him. Don't worry. He's dead. He's dead.
Checks in the mail.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks,
Thank
Zach.
y'all.
Bye. Zach McKenzie. I want to really, we have to get to Kirk back, but I got to play some news really quick. If it's bad news, I'll just bomb it. But in the meantime, go look in the description, linktree.ee, Zach McKenzie Music, and then there's Bob and Dave, Bob and Tom, Dave and McKenzie, the McKenzie brothers up the Great White North. Anyway.
Florida health officials are seeing a rise in Vibrio vulnificus cases, a bacteria that can cause severe flesh-eating infections following recent hurricanes.
On Friday, the Florida Department of Health released updated data showing several counties with increasing cases. The department reported on its website that Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Lee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota counties have seen an unusual increase.
That didn't sound too AI-ish, did it?
Helene. Jim Kender reporting.
A new series of Israeli airstrikes hit multiple locations in Lebanon, some dangerously close to Beirut's only international airport.
Israel had previously indicated it would target the Al-Qad Al-Hassan Association, which it claims functions as Hezbollah's unofficial financial institution. The strikes followed an attack on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's private residence in Caesarea by a drone. Neither Netanyahu nor his wife were home at the time, and no casualties were reported. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
More than 1.5 million voters have cast early ballots in Georgia, a key battleground state.
As the presidential race nears its conclusion, Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump are in a tight contest in several crucial states with just under 2 weeks remaining. The Georgia Secretary of State's office announced that more than 1.5 million voters have cast their ballots early in person across the state as of Tuesday afternoon. Liam White reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
Well, not exactly latest.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for a decisive international response to North Korea's involvement in Russia's war in Ukraine, citing evidence of troop deployments from Pyongyang.
We have undeniable proof that North Korea is supplying not only industrial workers, but also military personnel to Russia, Zelensky stated in a video address. South Korea's National Intelligence Service confirmed Friday that North Korea is preparing to send around 12,000 soldiers to aid Russia in the conflict. Benjamin Wright reporting.
The 5 men known as the Central Park Five, who were wrongfully convicted of assaulting a jogger in 1989, filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump for defamation following his remarks during the September debate with Vice President Harris.
Yusuf Salam, Raymond Santana, Kevin Richardson, Antron Brown, and Corey Wise, who were cleared of all charges in 2002 and now identify as the exonerated five, accused Trump of falsely connecting them to the crime during the Sept 10 debate.
They're bombed. It's time to move on to our next guest. Kirk Beck is an educator of over 40 years and has dreamed of the day when he could teach things that really matter. His love for kids and mathematics led him to leave his work as an engineer with Shell Oil Company to devote his life to reaching kids with compassion and truth. He's here now. Good morning, Kirk.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. We were talking earlier about civics, and civics was I'm old, and civics was not a course when I was in school. We had what was called social studies, but I'm not sure that's exactly the same as traditional civics. Define for even old people like me, but especially for the youth today, what is really civics all about?
Well, in one word, it's responsibility. It's knowing how to control government. Jefferson was the author of the Declaration of Independence, and nobody distrusted government more than him.
Right.
So he and the founders basically, especially the anti-federalists, did not want a government that could get out of control and have the kind of authority that the king and parliament had exercised over the colony.
Right.
So they wanted to put something in order that would be available to the people on an individual basis to protect themselves. And this has been largely lost. Today we have a government class. So it teaches you a little bit about government, but it doesn't tell you how to control it. And that's what real civics is all about. And I had an opportunity to teach civics. They called it government, but I turned it into civics. Because I wanted to teach students how to assert themselves. You know, right now everybody's talking about the election. When you read the Constitution, there's very little about election. The government, the founders wanted to give us something that individual people could use 24/7, 365 days a year. And that's exactly what I've been using for the last 7 years. So while I've always had an interest in controlling government, I pretty much was like everybody else waiting for the next election. Now, I'm interested in the election. I will vote, but it's not where the game should be played.
Okay, when you talk about controlling government, though, for the most part, people don't realize that in mass, we actually have the power if we decide to use it, which we don't. However, corporations do use the power, and so they are the ones who are pretty much controlling our government. Can you foresee, maybe one thing is like perhaps get rid of corporate personhood, but short of that, can you see a way where the people actually learn how to take the power back away from corporations and exude it over the government?
Yeah, that's what we do. And I think you bring up a good point. Mussolini described fascism as the unity of big government with big corporations. So we really live in a fascist state, more so than a socialist state, because the corporations run the country.
Is this tied to Citizens United? And is that because a lot of people will say Citizens United is where this became
what you just described, where the big money and the people who pull the strings and the power elite, it makes it almost impossible for the populace, the people, to be in power over our government. Do you have anything on that? Any thoughts on that?
I don't know what that. I've only heard about that organization. All I know is that I use the power of paper on government. The First Amendment gives us 5 rights. Doesn't give us, but it protects and guarantees 5 rights to the American people. If you ask the average American, name the 5 rights in the First Amendment, they wouldn't be able to give it to you. Now, I went to a parade on 4th of July, and for an hour I walked up and down and talked to hundreds of people, and not one person could give me all 5. One Boy Scout gave me 4, and he left out, to me, the most important one. Everybody gets speech and religion, but they forget the power of paper. The petition to redress government, the right to petition government for the redress of grievances, and a better synonym is remedy. So when I have a problem with government, I find out who the government official is who's sitting on top of that agency, and he's the one that gets the affidavit. An affidavit is simply a statement of truth that is notarized by a government official or notary, and I'm swearing in it that everything in it is true, and that it's constitutional, it's backed by proper evidence, facts, and truth. And when you lay that on their desk, of course, it goes by certified mail to make sure that I have proof when I go to court that they got it. The first paragraph of that affidavit, it spells out to them their responsibility to answer. You wanted the job, whether you're a legislator, a government enforcement agent, or a judge. You wanted the job. This is part of your description. Don't tell me to go to to go to an attorney. I'm telling you, you have a responsibility. And in the last paragraph, I spell out to them, you have 30 days in order to rebut. And here's the words that really are telling to them. You have 30 days to rebut this affidavit specific to its content. Don't go off and birdwalk. Stay on the topic. If you don't do so, everything in it can be used against you in any court in America. And the easiest court to go into is small claims court, $50. I took Best Buy into small claims court. They wanted me to wear a mask in order to get into their store. I said, well, that's not a law. I said, yeah, it is a law. No, I said, that's Governor Newsom telling the people what to do. He's making a mandate out to the people, but that's not law. The legislature can pass laws.
Now, I have a question real quick. Because you had mentioned that, not a question, but a statement. You had mentioned that the average American citizen could not answer those 5 contingencies in the First Amendment. But I'm willing to bet anybody who had to take a citizenship test would be able to answer that question.
Would have to. Yeah.
I would say that's probably true.
Yeah, I'm just saying because they want and are trying to earn citizenship, and we take it for granted.
Yeah.
So we don't. It's like, oh, we're protected. Oh, why and how? I don't know. I just am. I'm protected. I'm a citizen. I was born here. Well, people who come here want to learn it. They go, okay, I know this.
Yeah. On that point, a good book to read is Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson, the former late night TV host, has a book out called, it's been a while now, but American on Purpose. And he talks about how the difference between people who became Americans with intent than people who were born here and take it for granted. He wanted to be an American. He worked hard at learning the Constitution and what was in it. And he studied all the things that needed to be studied in order to be a citizen of the United States. And there is a big difference between those of us who were born here with some kind of entitlement to the freedoms that we have than people who actually work for it. So, American on Purpose, Craig Ferguson. What, in your mind, is the purpose of government? And it doesn't have to be the United States government. I mean, government in general for any country. What is the purpose of government?
I asked that very question of anybody running for office. And I asked it of a man who's been in our state Senate for 10 years, and he failed the test. I put it to him this way. I said, according to the Declaration of Independence, what is the purpose of government? And they always say, in varying forms, to protect the people. Well, come on. At 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody's breaking into my house. Forget that. I better be able to protect my own house. That's not it. And then they'd be befuddled. They're befuddled because what it could be. Well, Thomas Jefferson spelled it out right after the most hallowed words that almost every American knows: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, period. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That's it. So you go to Sacramento or Albany or whatever state capital in this country, that's your job. That's what I told my state senator. That's what I told my state assemblywoman. And within 6 months, she was out there trampling on the people's rights again.
Right.
So that means she gets to have the affidavit. And what we should be doing, and that's why I'm on this program, is I'm trying to alert more people. I don't care if they're on the left or the right. We all need to know how to control government. But we did get her to back off. Matter of fact, we got the whole legislature in California to back off on that one. And now I've met some guys out in Massachusetts. They're farther ahead than we are. The Massachusetts legislature adjourned recently, bemoaning the fact, now this is the government guys complaining, saying we weren't able to get much done this time. Well, the reason why they didn't get much done over there is because they were on their case. They've got scores of people who are doing what I'm doing, and they just hit them with all these affidavits. And those government officials don't want to be hauled into court. They want to haul us into court.
Yeah.
Now, Kirk, are you from California?
Originally, I'm from South Dakota.
Okay, and now because I'm just curious, because if you're South Dakota and California, why the Yankees hat?
I was thinking that too. I was going to save that till the end of the program, but go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I can't wait. I want to know now. No, just
Mind Dog started off by saying that he's old. I'm older than him. And I lived in South Dakota before the Minnesota Twins existed. So where are you going to go? Well, my grandma was a Yankee fan.
Right.
So that was it.
Somebody drew a map of all the people, it's like a blue state, red state thing. All the people who are rooting for the Yankees and the section that's rooting for the Dodgers. And that's basically Southern California is rooting for the Dodgers, and all the rest of America is rooting for the Yankees. I'm not me, because I'm a Met fan. I'm the Yankees are the devil to me. So anyway, I mean, let's see. That's why I wanted to save that for the end of the conversation, because I don't want it to be about baseball. I want to learn about government here.
Almost the same. Baseball and government and racism are like walk hand in hand. If you're not taught about those things as a child, chances are you're never going to have any interest in them as you get older. So government, racism, and baseball. If you're not taught as a child, you won't care as an adult.
I think it's baseball, apple pie, and something.
It's true, because I have no interest in baseball whatsoever. Never grew up watching it. Nothing.
Sorry, he's gone.
I love baseball. That's it. I love baseball. No.
Yeah.
What's up, Mets?
Yeah, he's not again. I am running for Congress in the 3rd District of New York, and I was thinking about it because I have not campaigned at all. I'm running as an independent, but I thought about putting out a video and targeting it just to my district, my prospective constituents if they should be dumb enough to vote for me. I mean that as a joke. That I would pledge to them that I actually work for them. I don't think our representatives work for us, and this is my whole campaign idea, and the reason I was interested in running in the first place is that I feel like every seat in Congress is either working for the party they belong to, or corporate or special interests, and I have pledged to not be part of any of that, and basically want to put out a video that says, I work for you. You don't work for me. I think we forget that our representatives work for us. They're there to represent us. And if I should win, I will give every constituent in the district my personal cell phone number. They can call me 24/7 to discuss the issues and where I should be in their mind. And I will work for them. I think the biggest part of our government is they forget that they work for us, that they're civil servants and we pay their salary. It's just the same as if you work for me in a company. You're my employee now. I think they forget that, and they feel like they're entitled to more respect than they deserve from the people they work for. Does that make any sense to you? Like, I don't think we have anybody who really feels accountable to the people who they work for, their district, whether it's a state, when the senators or a district in the congressional model of that. Do you think that we've come far enough away from that idea of who's really working for who here and who's in charge? You work for me. You're on my payroll. I'm not on your payroll.
Well, that's absolutely correct. They are public servants. They're not our leaders. We talk about our leaders. No, they're not our leaders. We, the people, are the leaders. We lead them. But if we're ignorant and if we don't know the law, it's our job to teach them. You know, the Constitution begins with we the people, not they the elected.
Right.
Or they the exalted. No. They have to have they need to be brought under control. That's it. And when they get an affidavit with their name on it, and they could go to court over it, that's when things change. And this is really quite simple. By the way, when this is over, I want to give any of the listeners a free gift. And the free gift is, here's the template. This is what we use to control government. That initial paragraph, that final paragraph. Now the body depends upon the incident, what's going on. My first one was a traffic case. I always say traffic is like going to law school kindergarten. And you get this squared away and you begin your ascent to understanding how to control government at higher levels.
Yeah. By the way, there's a link that I have for you that was affidavitsecrets.com/podmatch. Why the slash? I'm curious about why the /podmatch. Is that just for? Is there something special about that link?
Well, I'd like it to be / mind dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll change that.
But the purpose is that we want to know who. Because this is my 19th podcast in the last 2 months, so I'm doing them all the time. So I want to know where it's coming from, because we have a free gift. We also have a course that's 50% off by going through that link. So our purpose is to educate people, and it starts with the cop on the street. The cop on the street, if he stops me, I'm going to give him my driver's license, because I like that. In good form of ID, everybody asks for it. And I give him my proof of insurance, but then I give him my affidavit. My affidavit is made out to his boss. I've got one for the sheriff. I've got one for the police chief. I've got one for the highway patrol. And after I sent these out, it was funny that within about a month, I started having contact with all three of these agencies. And I think they put my name in the computer. I have a cop who says, Yeah, every once in a while you might come across something that says don't cite, don't detain, don't impound. Well, that's the list I want to get on. I think I'm on it because last time I was stopped, and I wasn't even moving. I was just parked, and part of my car was on a red zone. So she came up and wanted to know she wanted my driver's license. So, okay, here you go. She came back 5 minutes later and she said, have a nice day. Well, my tags are like 14 months overdue. She saw them, but she didn't give me any tickets. She just told me, have a nice day.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're on a list just for being on this show, by the way. I don't know if you know. Probably you're on a no-fly list now. I don't know if
that's not fun. It takes a while to get off of that one.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt.
Right. Are you an optimist? Obviously you wouldn't be doing if you didn't think you wouldn't be doing anything if you didn't think you could create some change. But are you an optimist for it, or are you just hopeful? Or how would you describe your mindset for where we are and where we're going?
I'm an eternal optimist. I always believe that we're going to win. I play to win. And there are so many good things going on in the country that the people don't know about because the mass media will never tell you. And Tucker Carlson won't tell you either. I don't know. I don't understand that, but I obviously understand where the mainstream media is coming from.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Tucker Carlson won't tell you that. He's under oath saying that he's a liar. So I'm not really surprised that he won't tell you anything. But when you say there's a lot of good things, you care to shed some light on some of the good things that you think are happening?
TacticalCivics.com. That is an organization that's been in existence for about 15 years. They've done over 80,000 hours of research going back to the historical documents and how was the government controlled between the late 1700s up until the Civil War. The Civil War changed everything. We lost so much understanding of government after the Civil War that we've never recovered. So what Tactical Civics has done, they've gone back to the 1840s, 1830s, even up in the late 1800s, and rediscovered something called the People's Grand Jury. We have grand juries in California, but they're controlled by the government. But the People's Grand Jury is a simple ordinance that's passed by the county. So it has the county's stamp of approval. But now we have a group of people who are over here, separate from government, that have subpoena power. Can subpoena the sheriff, the board of supervisors, the city council, the county librarian, whoever's a problem, bring them in here. We've got some questions for you. Remember, you're under oath. And we have not only subpoena power, we have arrest power.
Yeah.
So I'm involved in the Riverside County Tactical Civics. There are over 1,500 counties that have established organizations, and we're studying the law. We're studying the Constitution, and we're coming up with opportunities for the people to get involved and begin to do the work of governing the government.
Well, here's my issue with and I definitely think more people need to read the Constitution rather than just talk about Constitution. We hear people saying that word a lot who have never read it. Lots of. But every time it comes back to Constitution, we're arguing over a language and trying to parse words and semantics and what exactly is meant in complicated and not complicated, but I think sometimes there's too many words in there. and so my pessimism of where we're going as a people, I'm talking with regards to the division that we're feeling, is this constant arguing of what the words in the document actually mean. And we could talk about it like that in the Second Amendment. That comes back all the time about the establishment of a well-regulated militia and all that kind of stuff. We argue over what those words mean. So that kind of feels hopeless to me, that we're never going to come to a consensus. We're basing our entire government, our entire way of life on this document that we can't even agree what it says, the words actually mean.
Well, let's go into court and argue. Let's bring them in. For instance, let's take a really simple situation. Let's just start with kindergarten. I have a right to travel in my automobile. I do not have a right to drive. Driving is a privilege. Traveling is a right. You put that into the affidavit, as I did. The very first situation I had was with traffic. I got a rolling stop. I've never gotten a speeding ticket in California. I've lived here for 38 years. That's a badge of honor. I don't have a speeding ticket, but I've got all these rolling stop tickets. And I'd go to court and I would argue the Constitution and I'd lose. And I'd argue something else and I'd lose. I never went in there and just gave up. I mean, I always fought, but I didn't use the proper procedure. Now, when the police officer made the arrest, I sent him an affidavit and I spelled out exactly his responsibility to answer. I spelled out exactly to him what he did wrong. There were two things that I brought up. And then finally I said, now you've got 30 days to rebut. So when we went to court, he walked in, he looked at me, I looked at him. He went over to the bailiff, gave him a piece of paper. Piece of paper was delivered to the judge, and within 2 minutes, Mr. Beck, are you here? Mr. Beck, your case has been dropped. You may leave.
Wow.
I didn't have to say a word in that court. Because the fact is, that police officer made a false arrest. He can only arrest if he sees somebody committing a crime. Infractions are, according to Sava versus California, because it's an infraction, we don't get a jury trial. Therefore, it's not a crime. But a police officer can only arrest me if he's serving a warrant, acting on a verifiable complaint by an American citizen, or he's observed a crime. It's not a crime.
Right.
So you just bring it to them, you put it on paper. Now rebut it. They never do. My mentors are in their 80s. They met in high school. They've been together for 60 years. And when they told me 7 years ago that they have over 10,000 victories, I thought that was a classic hyperbole. It's true, because I've got 5 myself.
Wow.
Beginning with that traffic case.
I generally, I roll over too easy, roll past. If I just accept a ticket, whatever it is, and just, I'll fight it in court, or I won't fight it.
How much time did you put into all that? I'm curious.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, now that I know how to do it, let's see, I had to send the affidavit to the police officer. I had to go down and have it notarized at my bank. That's free of charge. Then I went over to the post office and I got the green card back. That cost me $9. So probably a couple hours there. But then I had to go to court, and that's where it's a problem for a lot of people. I'm retired, so I don't have any problem going to court. I go to court all the time. I go to court and help other people. So, it takes some time, but gosh, earlier we were talking about how ignorant people are. Remember this. Valley Forge, there's all these American soldiers, and I don't know how many of this, a couple thousand maybe at the most, and they're freezing their can off while the British are quartered in Philadelphia being sold products by American farmers. The American population will never do what we need to do. It'll always be what Samuel Adams called a hardcore group of Americans that are going to fight for everybody else. And I say this a lot. I know how to protect myself. I can't protect you very well, especially if you don't want to learn anything. You just want to watch Monday Night Football. I can't help you. But I don't need you either. All I need is about 1/2 of 1%. If I had 300 people in this county, I really believe we can run the county.
Wow.
I'm curious about something. Have you ever been called for jury duty? And once you've been called for jury duty, do they go, no, thank you, you're too civic minded or too? I mean, have you been called for jury duty and have you served it?
Tossed.
Great question. I've been on jury duty twice and I've got kicked off both times because I asked questions. And well, the last time I didn't even ask questions. The judge was talking to us, giving his caveats because